ウィゼボット、アクチオン、ライブ、オンリネ、ウンデア、テイ、カテゴリー、イカ役。
亀先生、こんばんは。来ていただいてありがとうございます。早かったね。一回も。ありがとうございます。今日はね、ずっと気にはなってたんだけど、なかなかね、やる機会がなくて先延ばしにしてたゲームと。
豆助、あと1時間後に地獄の練習なので。
あと1時間後に地獄の練習マジか。とりあえずサクッとやっていきましょうか。まずこれね、今日参加型じゃないんだよな。ちょっと消しとけば。じゃあ早速やっていきましょう。はい、番が起動しそういう人が書いてない。順指摘。私はちゃんと払ってくれてるというかと思う。あなたが合わせた時間が正しいことを知るすべはないですけど。じゃあなんで時間合わせたの？ちょっと待って。ツッコミどころ満載だ。さあ、こうしましょうよ。さあ、協力。どうせだ。一番時間を設定したい時間を好きに選んで、欲しい時間で構いません。あなたがちゃんとからです。さあ、そろそろゲームにも。私がこれなの。がいい10しかにした。ジャンプガムはやっていきましょう。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
あ、動くんだ。
This is the story of a man. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office, because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
ここに入る。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
血のあれわからん。血の行けばいい。
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
あれは
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
上に行くの。閉まるの。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers, the lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
か？
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
壊すか壊さないか壊す。
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you?
なんでよかっ
After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? One solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
びっくり。あ 体どうしたらよかったわけ？何をしたらいいかわかんない。これから
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
テス
Perhaps
じ
he
ゃ
had
なく
simply
て、
missed a
オンじゃ
memo.
なくて、オフにすればいい。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
Stanley
he
knows
entered the
about-
door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
別の選択肢が出たぞ。待って、さっき行けなかったよね、こっち。はいな、音楽。歌ってない？ナレーションの人。やっぱ歌ってるよね。
This is the
あ、歌ってるよね。歌ってないんだけど、はい。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would... blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
第1個目。これ何回もプレイして謎を解いていくような感じ。
All of his co-workers. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
こういう実績もあんのマジで？大丈夫やってる。一本道だったの。
When Stanley came to a set of two open
お、び
doors,
っくりした。
he entered the
テレ
door
パ
on
版
his left.
が、さっきさ、左のドア入ってさ、イエスのボタンを押したら、ストップウォッチで爆破がどうのこう。
セリカ、びっくりしないでもろて、わら。
で、それさ、1回目やったとき、左に行ってオフにしたら外に出られたけど、謎が残ったままで、結局ここは一体どこなんだろうって話だから、左のドア行ったっつったから今度右のドア行ってやろう。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took
no.
the first open door on his left.
セリカ、ああ、このゲームか。
すげえ気になってたの。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
最初のドアって言ったのに。しかない。取れないのか。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the
セリ
fact
カ、
is that
米
the
印
story has
危険
been
ですの
about
で現
nothing
実
but
ではしないで
you
くだ
all
さい。
this time.
だよね。
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please,
こっちにも
stop trying to
ルー
make
ルがある
every
けど
decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me,
しか行くとこないも
I'm
んね。
asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
そうじゃん。だって誰？
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something.
バカにし
Come
てるよ。
inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
セリカ、性格が悪いぞ、
本当
わら。
だよね。前。
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
病院番号420。G、はい。
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his
It goes.
existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
だって押さなかったら進ま
Now
ないで
he's
しょ。
pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. and so he began to fantasize about his
なん
own
かね
job.
けどここに
First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that
Junior
all
high.
of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The
謎が
thought
知りたいんだ
excited him terribly. So, he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through
Oh,
this
色がついた。
fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer.
おっと
How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
押しちゃいけないって言われてるけど
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
何これ強制的に殺されたんだが謎が残ってるんですけど何回やったら本当のシーンがわかるん
All of his co-workers. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the
い
achievement?
なかったじゃん
Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
大丈夫するいきなり
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
あでもテープっていう
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
やることによってテンションの変わる
Coming to a staircase, Stanley
だよね。
walked
上に
upstairs
行けって
to
指
his
示がある
boss's
けど、
office.
一周した時入れたけど別に
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take, too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
ナレーションが変わってるいくら早く進めようぜ。
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
よし、オッケー。るんだけどこのゲーム。人によってナレーション変わる。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
はい、
Mind
そっちは行った
Control
からこっち。
Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
しようと。
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
「ちるよね」どんどん出ないからでエスケープじゃないけどあー無限ループこれもしかして
セリカ、無限ループって怖くねわら。
でもいけ
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
飛び込むべきだな一度は
Nope, still on board with death?
一度は飛び込むべきだね長いけど行きましょう飛び込んでみようストーリーが変わるんじゃない
セリカ、マジで多分死ぬ。
うん多分それを繰り返してなんか本当の真実が分かっていくような感じのゲームなんじゃねこれ分からんけど飛びます
As the machine whirred into motion and
すげえ
Stanley was inched closer and closer to his
プレスだ
demise, he reflected
あ
that
の
his
まま
life
落下
had
死
been
か
of
と思ったの
no
に
consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow
Press da,
vision
press.
of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs
の
from
高
a
さから
blind
起こ
man.
った時点で
And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow
あの
life.
世だと思うんだけど
Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him
で止めるの
instantly.
え と待って。死を覚悟してたんですけど。
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
何
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Ah, もう。これが本当のエンディングなの？冒険で。こんなところ来てないぞ。なのも見てない。データのメール、これも見てないぞ。タイマーはあった。ギフト、こんなのあったっけ？来たやつと見てないやつが。見てない。こんなレバーも見てない。笑ってるし。
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
どうなるの？
No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You
ま
can
たここ
stop
戻っ
the
てきた。
program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat
エ
this
スケー
game.
プと終了をし
As
てる。
long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's
終了。
path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
結局こうなんの。ける。結局あそこがエンディングってかあそこが最終的に終わりって
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
一応の左のドアこっちか。
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
強制的に
Yet there
会
was not
議
a
室だ。
single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to
Yeah.
go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer
貼って
there.
ある。物置。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
ここなの結局ここなの
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other.
ス
She
タンリーか
rose,
マリエナ
got
が乗った
dressed,
けど。
gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew.
狂ってる。
Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't.
どういう
It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
結局また戸惑ってきた。結局これは何なんだ？
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it?
これずっと何回かやってたら本当の真実ってわかるんかな？
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
違う。新しいとこ。新しいとこ来たけど。新しいとこ来たけど。
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
アトラクションになってる。
Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe
新
content.
コンテンツだって。
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
え
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we
動かないけど。
be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if the... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
なんだ今度は。
All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
行った方がいいのか、そ
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be
行った方
something
がいいの
else,
か、そっち
right?
行った方がいいのか。これどっちだろう。え何？ジャンプすればいいの？ちょっと待って。ジャンプし続けたらなんかなんのか。それだけ ける。
Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Oh, 変わってる。
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
待って、スタートの位置が変わったんだが。なんだけど。
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
ちょっと変わったんだけど。やばい、やるほど。テクの声。
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste. And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now it's nothing.
ペルソナ3は
It's
言い
no
過ぎだ
games
ろ
at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content. Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games, and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
見どころ満載だけど。
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
なんだ
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
チームって書いてああいけないねいけそう
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Oh, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Get it.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No, 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 no. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. But the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are or were or will be at the time of having made said choice. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
これ待て。押さないとつまねんじゃね
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time.
喋らなくなったよ。
シェリカ、わらわら。
喋らなくなったよ、今度は。出口は相変わらずないので。なんか枯れて、掘ってるし。これない？マジでウケる。ないから嫌だけどさ。変わり映えしないな。
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes, it seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find the resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. So because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think. To feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes they demanded?
になったけど、アリバイがない。あ、今度は押せなくなったぞ。あ、どういうこと？
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
ナレーターが病んでて。ちょっと。
セリカ、すねてるやん。
いける。職場放棄した。あー、おかしい。時間差で押せるようになった。
セリカ、明るい。
明るい。草が生えちゃったよ、ほら。
セリカ、時間経過早い。わらわら。
時間経過早い。このさ、ボタン押せるのもさ。
セリカ、廃墟だー。わら。
あかんだばっからなった。出口はない。すぐ押せないんだよね。 ほら、ゆっくり押せるようになる。もうこれどうしたらいいの？押せる？もう照れたよ。
セリカ、ボタン。
壊れた。これ、壊れたけどね。いうことだろう。言うってこと？いきなり砂漠なの、ここ。進んでいけばなんかあんのかな。データーの人。
セリカ、砂漠だったのにあれだけの緑を、わら。
ねえ。もうないけど。これさ、一体いくつのエンディングあんの？ちょっと。表せて
セリカ、
けど。
お、か、え、り。
例えば。でも実績ね、2つしかね、出てないよ、これ。
セリカ、いっぱいあるよ、わら。
いろんな実績を取りたいのは山々なんだけど。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could
誰
it
実
mean?
績取れるんだ。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
どっかか。これ、新しくなってるけど。ライトアップされてる。これどうしたらいいのこれ。無視してあっち行った方がいいのか。これどうなんの？ライトアップされてるけど。あえ
セリカ
て、
ナレーター通りに行く実績もあるよ。
ナレーター、そう、ナレーター通りに行って1個、なんか実績取れたんだよね。で、もう1個取れたんだよ。それ以外の、これさ、明らかにこっち行ってくれって言ってるから、
Oh, good. You noticed my side.
行った方がいいよ
Yes,
ね。
I have something very exciting to show you.
はい。見たもんな。はい。最初行った時とまた違うのかな。
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
何2って。すっごいのこれ満
Yes,
載
you
なんだ
see,
けど。
isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged
いき
sequel.
なり
An
2になっちゃった
entirely
よ。
new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
やり2になっちゃったよ。
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
規模がでけえ。新機能いくって。
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim.
Jim ね。
But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name,
あなた
whatever
の名
name
前を
that
言うっ
is.
てなる
Here,
と
let's have you roleplay as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this
ロープレイ
feature.
してくん
Just
の
play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named
Jim ね。
Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
セリカ、ジムビーム。
ジムビーム。
Oh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the gym button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
いや、これ押さな。
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much, Jim. I'm putting the gym button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
消えた。うち。よ。
セリカ、没収とされた、わら。
しちゃダメって募集されちゃった。いないから別なとこか。もらう。終わったらドアが開くわ。
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would
力
actually
来
save me
て
the work of
ここ行
finishing
っ
this
たか
feature.
ら。なんかすごい。いる。前もいけるの？
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life. God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic. Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
ないけど。え？わかんない。他は？
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
から来た。何にも行けるんだよ。
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it will go at the end of the... well, we'll figure that out later.
言ってるもんね。じゃあ、こう言ってね、こう言ってみる。
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
いやいや、試してくださいって。
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
入った。バケツ。バケツ泥棒。
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
血が好き。
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step niece, it is.
聞いた意味。聞いた意味。意味。
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
出ないのこっちか？バケツずっと持ったままなんかな。このバケツうざいんだけど。
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, A hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
おかしい。わあ、これで終わり。
セリカ、爆音で聞いてたらクムがより爆音に、笑。
爆音で聞いてたから CM より爆音に。私、ただ落ちていくだけだった。わあ、どこだ？行っていいのかな何言ってキングチャンピオンこう言ったもんね。これで全部やってなかったね。
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well.
これまたやるの？
Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
ただの素敵な飾りってことでって。うわあ。で、ここも入った。ここも通ったし。行ったんじゃないか。できないんだ。来たでしょ？だけどスタッフをだよね。あ、こっちか。出口。あったね。ずっとバケツも。
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley
結局
Parable
こ
and
こにな
simply,
んの
well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
長かった。嘘でしょ。普通になってるけど。
セリカ、赤い、わら。
ねえ、赤いよね。これゲーム始めるでいいの？どこまで我慢で。ちょっと待って。何これ。点飛んでるだけじゃん。
All of his co-workers were gone.
同じじゃね？
What could it mean? Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
116を。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
で、あれしたんだよね。どこをどこまで行ったかがあれなんだよな。いるんだよね。で、そのエスケープをやってる。
実績全部解除したい？
うん。
わら。
せっかくだからね。下行っても実績解除なんなかったんだ。どこで実績な分岐が入りそうな気がするけど、上に行って上司のところに行って先に進んで、なんかコントロールセンターみたいなのところ行ったんだよね、最初。でイエスってやったら時限爆弾で爆破するっつって結局止められなくて爆破しちゃったんだよね。で2回目はイエスにしたのをオンにしたのをオフにしたら外に出れたんで、でその時に実績が出たんだよね。何か一定のことをしないと勝てないような、真っ赤だね、なってるんだとは思うんだけど。あの状態になって上にトイレでしょ。
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
セリカ、報酬ないんかい。
ないって。一生懸命今。ね。ないらしいよ。あ、ここ足りないくなってる。
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
押さなくていいことになった。
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
元に戻って、なんという。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
こっちに行ったら落っこったんだよね。こっち。いいのかな。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
ええ。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them,
セリカ、最初の部屋で外に出ないでドア閉めるエンドありますよ。
マジか。じゃあ次それやろう。なエンドがあったの。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
これをオンにしたら爆発したんだよね。押せると、あ、なんか解除した。英語だからわかんない。こっちのエンドは両方、あ、爆破した方がやってないんだよね。
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going. What all this means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? But you really believe there's an answer? How many times will you replay this bit, looking desperately for a solution? 10? 100? 1,000? I look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you and me and the retching explosion of fire and metal over and over and over for all of eternity. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever up.
ここがわかんないよね。1回目もこれでなんだよな。
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly.
日本語訳がねえけど。
Now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed. Then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
え終わったぞ。特に実績は何も。不思議な。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
こんな
Stanley
なんかす
decided to
ご
go
い
to the meeting
不
room.
思議な
Perhaps
ゲ
he
ーム
had
だったね。
simply missed a memo.
これ実績がね、今。3つ解除されたけど、こういろんな実績あるけど、この解除の仕方がいまいちよくわからないんだよね。うちの方はで
セリカ、430のドアを5回叩いた
400の403は5回叩いた。
Oh, please. Are you really just
Yeah.
doing this for the achievement?
解除
Click a
叩い
door
た。
5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble
セリカ、
ナレーション
ゲー
変わった。
ム止めてゲーム始めると実績解除のやつもあるよ。
50 clicks.
10回、OK。これ終わったら、ゲーム止めてゲームを始めるっていうやつやってみるか。
No, I'm still not feeling it.
指が疲れる
I
けど
want。this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
417。417。
Maybe Stanley would never pick up the bucket. The lonely
セ
bucket.
リカ、
Oh,
あと
great.
何回か
Now,
スペー
go
ス
click
バー
a
を
few
押す
times
実
on
績も
door
あるよ。
437.
ペースバー。何もならないね。ペースバーを押す実績。取らないね。何回かわかんないけど。出ないね。パーは何回押すんだかわかんないけど。とりあえず、連打はしてるけど。まだない。
セリカ、スペースバーのやつはジャンプできないよって実績らしい。
へえ。出ないね。ずーっと特に何も出ない。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper, something darker. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
パンに入る。あ、中途半端だったよ。
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
こっちは行ってないな、そういえば。目指した。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right, Yep. Okay. Yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
右も左も関係ねえじゃん。
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a
シャバに
spoiler.
しちゃうよ。
Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to Oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
性的にあ、そうだ、これはこのゲームを再開するでいいのか。しかそうだよね。ゲーム止めてこのゲームを再開する。
セリカ、多分終了の方になってしまう。
あ、終了？一回終了して、始める。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
ちょいる。
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number
最初に
427.
見てるから。え？実績のあれはない。ますます謎になってきたぞ。ジャンプのやつはあるね。出るわ。
セリカ、
キャンとジャンプ
マジで終了の×印までやる感じか、わら。
終了の×印。終了の×印。ゲームをして×して終了してデスクトップに持ってでもう一回立ち上げる感じか。
セリカ、ゲーム自体の終了でもう一回起動かな。
うん、今起動してます。再起動きました。で、今は11新しいもの。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company.
好き。あ、実績解除した。今実績解除したよ。ウェルカムバック。
セリカ、ウェルカムバックだったら合ってる。
うんうん。430クリックがどうのこうのっていう。何回
All
も
of
クリ
his
ックして。
co-workers were gone. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits
読み終
away
わ
for
って
such
から
little
クリック
effort.
20
A
回。
measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks. No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
20回クリックかな。だけど
Stanley, pick up the bucket. Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
なんだな。
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
お、ストーリーがあ、
Now, back to door number 437.
4、3、7。
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
110。
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
19のデスク。だよ。19のデスク来たけど何？
セリカ、横の箱を使って登る。
以上いけないけど。
Yes! This is great!
no, but
You're
that-
putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
416。6はこっち。だから先か。登り。
We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again!
コピー機誰来たらやな。
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430! Yes!
本当だ
We
出て
did
きた
it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you
Yo,
back.
yeah,
Yes,
I
I'm
did
proud
that.
of how far
Yes,
we've come
voilà.
today. Just think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little
で
clicks.
きた。
Really now? What were you thinking?
あと1、3、4、5、6個ある。チパチパチパチパチっていう実績気にだろう。調べながらやんないと。
セリカ、あとは上司の部屋の入力装置でパチパチパチを2回入れるらしい。
オッケー。これやってこよう。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
This な感じじゃなかった。入れんだよね。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
部屋の
boss's
暗証
office.
番号。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, Unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code.
ああ、やっぱそうなんだ。あとはめんどくさい
He
んだ。
stepped into the newly
じゃあ、
opened
とりあえ
passageway.
ず、ここまでの、はいということで。
セリカ、火曜日に1日中、24時間、ゲームをプレイする。セリカ、というのと。
うわ火曜日に一日中ゲームこれをやるの？うわー、その実績はきついわ、確かに。確かにそれはきつい。
セリカ、5年間ゲームをプレイしない。システム時間を進めても OK。
5年間ゲームをプレイしない？このゲームってことシステム時間を進めて OK ってことは、Windows の設定から日付を変更して、今24年だから29年の9月29日にすれば、実績が解除するってこと？そういうことやね。
セリカ、多分。
なるほどね。じゃなかったら5年間ゲームしないなんて鬼畜やもんな。そういうことだよね。じゃあこのゲームはここでしましょう。